Okay, are we sure we're ready?
Yep.
Okay, put your spoon
stand.
down. Take out your shit-kicking hat.
So we'll put it on backwards.
Is there a way to wear it backwards?
No.
We don't even have any alcohol with us today. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh, welcome everybody back to Conflict of Leadership Coffee Table Edition. See, I did remember the intro this time.
It's about time.
Oh, I know. I was thinking that we need to kind of do a Rush Limbaugh, like almost like jazz music intro.
Yes.
I could be all loud and boisterous and, taking weird pauses like this and saying, why is it still picking up me on yours? All right, take two. Are you done?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're take two for Conflict of Leadership Coffee Table Edition. Let's see how many takes we can do before I get sick and tired of saying it.
Let's just stick with one.
Oh, well, we've already gone to two. I can put the beep in here and we can just keep going and going. So we got kind of a continuation show tonight from what we talked about last week. Kind of jumping into it. Before we do, you ready to be rained out here? We're about to drown or something.
Should have brought the other boat.
We need a bigger boat is what we need.
Yeah.
But I can't make movie quotes. You can Rush Hour, Chris Tucker. Do you not understand the words coming? And that's a fishing movie.
Jaws, baby.
You are so underwhelmingly underwhelmed by this. It's sad.
It was your delivery.
Oh, that's what it was. It wasn't just how forced this whole conversation is.
Yeah, it was your delivery.
So, well, tonight we're gonna be, as I said, we're gonna be kind of kicking off here, talking about kind of continuing from what we did last week. We're gonna be talking about traditions this week, and I think we've kind of talked about this a little.
We
bit
have,
before.
I think, a couple times before we got into it.
I feel like it keeps on creeping back in.
It does.
No, tonight is going to be more focused though on talking about how your traditions don't mean anything if you don't actually share them with us, or with me. It's this thing that if you have a tradition, that's cool, but if it doesn't actually have any bearing and you don't let it be part of mine too, then I can't care less about
exactly. Yeah, you have to share them. You can't just keep them for yourself. You want them to continue on. Share them with everyone else. If not, they're going to be lost. And they're like, whoa, we used to have this tradition, but nobody wants to. It's like, I didn't know anything about this tradition. How am I supposed to know about it? You don't teach us that or teach me that. And there's also nothing wrong with starting new traditions. Yeah, we've been doing this tradition for so long. Let's try something different. Start it. Get it going.
Yeah, I think of good traditions that we should keep alive. We do bell ringing for last shifts or for last call. We do firefighter funerals where they do like a last call radio or someone's retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some very good things out there that we do.
Yeah.
They're very, but then I think of some of the other things out there, like fire trucks have to be red. It's a very traditional thing. The American fire helmet is stupidly in tradition.
Yes.
Leather is very traditional.
Extremely. There's people out there that live and breathe leathers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then you also have picking on the new guy. Traditionally at the firehouse, you pick on the new guy. New guy kind of gets raised a little bit. They kind of get given a hard time. I know some departments that is their goal as their first year is to make the new guy feel terrible until their first year is up.
Yeah. It's like an upbringing.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I used to say that somebody should work private ambulance before they work in fire department because it's almost a rite of passage. And I think about that now, and I think it really doesn't have to be. It doesn't make you a better firefighter, EMT, or paramedic. It doesn't really even make you better in the service. It's just another part of the field that you can work in.
Yeah. I mean, I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the companies I've worked for, I have learned a lot.
Mhm.
I will say that for sure. We don't get that in a lot of places either. Sometimes it's just, taking grandma or grandpa back to the nursing home. That's all you do.
Yeah.
Some places don't. Some places run 911. Some places do, interfacility transfers from trauma to trauma.
Mhm.
It does happen. And
No, and it's like it's not where it's not bad. I think where when we start to hinge on it, like that is the pivot point from if you do these things, you'll feel like a firefighter. You'll feel like a paramedic. That's where I feel like we get ourselves trapped. Like it's you know to treat the new guy like absolute shit just because they're the new guy and that's what happened to us and it's the rite of passage that you have to go through to be broken in. I mean, it's like so that means that coming out of the academy, weren't they still didn't hold the same fire card that you
right.
did. I realize they don't hold the same experience, and that's fine. And we're gonna battle with that for ages to come.
Yes.
But then also too that you forbid people from doing certain things because they weren't there when you started it. Well, what are you going to indoctrinate them into it? When are you going to let them, take part in those things?
Yeah. Like I know some places like you're a new guy, you have to do all the chores,
Mhm.
everything, sweep the floors, do the dishes, bathrooms, everything.
Mhm.
And as they sit down and they just sit in the recliners and do everything
Yeah.
that you don't that you're doing, they don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and it's I've heard this when it comes to tradition. Oh well, we do things traditionally, so you earn your place. Well, but the problem is that if you don't, I guess it can go two ways. So I guess the first direction we're going is where does tradition go bad? Like where do we let it take us that it takes us to bad places, and that is never letting someone assume their place.
Mm-hmm.
If the probie always comes and all they do is mop the floors, do the dishes, do all the general cleaning, the stuff no one else wants to do, they never do feel like they actually fit into the shift
Oh,
group.
absolutely. No, I know I wouldn't.
No.
It make me feel underappreciated.
Hmm.
It make me feel like I'm nothing, and they're over there. They're making jokes, talking crap, which I'm sure does happen. You know, but if I was that new person, I'm like, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the same as you,
Hmm.
but this doesn't make me feel wanted.
Well, and it's kind of we changed this. Excuse me, our full time department where we've now started letting union members have their voting rights after a month now, and for a lot of unions, that's like a complete like taboo. No, you have to have a year. But in that year, they're pushed out of meetings. In that year, they're forced out of decisions. They're not allowed to speak their piece. And I get it, And I remember when I first started with our association here, that if you don't know what you're talking about, you probably shouldn't interject, and that's fair. That's a
Yeah,
fair
that's
assessment. But after 6 months, and you've been coming consistently, and you've started learning how people feel about things, you start developing your own opinions.
yeah.
There might be something that gets brought up that actually you might be a subject matter expert in. So simply because you're the new guy, just you shouldn't speak up at all and let an uninformed decision be made.
Yeah. I don't know how it was when you started here, but when I first got hired here, I wasn't allowed to have any voting for the associates for
Hmm.
3 months.
Hmm.
And there was stuff like I didn't agree with when I first started. I was like, this sucks is I don't get to vote on this. I'm
Hmm.
just a body in the room now.
Yeah.
And okay, well, to me it's like, why am I coming then? If I can't even get to vote, why am I here?
Yeah. Well, and you get that because one of the things we brought up in the association bylaws in years past is that if you miss two meetings, you lose your voting rights. Where it's like, well, hold on. Okay, I understand that maybe they won't know the be most up to breast on
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff that just didn't transpire, but that doesn't mean that they are not part of this department, especially the ones who've been here for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
They know how things work. You don't need to be a part of every single conversation,
Right.
but yet we hold that over them as if it's somehow that's like protecting our organization.
Yeah. And like you said, been here 10, 15 years. You missed 2 meetings. Sorry, you can't vote.
Mhm.
Why not? I've been here for X amount of years.
Mhm.
I want to have my opinion out there too. If I don't agree with something, I should be allowed to disagree with it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I should be able to ignorantly disagree with it too.
Oh, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with disagreeing ignorantly to something if you can be educated as to where your mistake and where your folly
Yeah.
is. Where I fall, and I feel like we fall into this trap, is that we don't want people to disagree with us because they weren't at a meeting. And okay, fine. But we also don't want to help bring them up to speed either. It's like, oh, you missed that part. Sucks to be you. Now you don't even get to be a part of the conversations. Well, that's not fair, especially
Yeah.
when you have associations that purchase equipment, especially when you have associations that purchase stuff for their members or they put in for different types of donations or things like that. That's things that even the uninformed who are there need to be aware of, not only that you're part of, but this is how your association works, or your union, or your fire department.
Yeah. That way they can learn it
Mm-hmm.
and they can see in what expect is going to happen during these
Yeah.
all these meetings.
Mhm.
So that way, when they're allowed to vote, they know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They know the rules. They know everything. It's simple.
Yeah. Well, and it's like they learn not only the position, but then they also learn like how to engage, because one day they're going to be the ones who take over that. And one thing I hate seeing, I don't mind seeing a tradition die if it doesn't serve a purpose
Right.
anymore. You know, if it's no longer feasible, or if it's no longer okay, cool. I don't mind seeing a tradition die. Okay, so like fireworks, and this is kind of contentious for our area right now. But if you do like this big fireworks show for whatever festival and whatnot, and you can't do it for whatever reason, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's tradition." No, it's like, yeah, but are we losing anything for it? That doesn't bother me to see it die.
No.
Now, the last call or last alarm, yeah, that bothers me.
Agreed.
But when it dies, I ask, does it die because people don't want to do it anymore, or is it because no one was ever made a part of it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make someone a part of it. That's how it dies out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, if you want to keep it going, you got to keep passing it along to those new people. And if you don't, it's done. It's over.
I think of a tradition we actually have here is, well, we used to have was putting our old Ford in parades.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tradition to get some of the old guys to come and drive it, and they go in parades because it's part of our history.
Yep.
Absolutely. That tradition died off. Not because those people who could drive it aren't around. They're still around. They never let anyone else younger partake in that. They never invited anyone else. Like they would anecdotally, oh, hey, anybody who wants to do this, come. And then they get themselves, and like, oh, hey, we're full up. We're not bringing anyone else. Even if you showed up, it's like, oh, hey, sorry, we only got seats for 3, and well, we already got 3 here.
Yep.
It's like, somebody should have said, I'll stay back this year. I don't have to let them go.
I've done it every year for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah, why don't you go?
Yeah.
But we don't do that, and now we're looking at where these same guys are looking and saying, why doesn't anyone care? Why do you just want to get rid of it? None of us know the importance of it. I recognize there's something important about it, but it doesn't mean anything to me. And honestly, it doesn't seem to mean anything to anybody else because it sits there and just collects dust.
Yeah, collects dust, collects mice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember years ago, I wanted to learn how to do it. And they're like, oh, you haven't been here long enough. You don't get a chance to.
Yeah.
Till you put so many years on, then you can. I'm like, that's not fair.
Yeah, well, and and I can appreciate. Okay, we want you to have some time to appreciate, but then at the same time, it's like that person's coming to you, and you told them no. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing as when we were growing up and said, "Oh, you'll be able to do that when you're older," and then you never really get to actually partake in that thing because the opportunity never came back up again.
Yep.
And yeah, it's arbitrary. It's a loss. Yeah, it is. But at the same time, too, when you turn around and you gripe and complain that, oh, tradition's dying, no one doesn't mean anything to anyone anymore. Oh, you got something?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I do.
let's hear
Not
it.
to interrupt.
No,
but
go ahead.
I don't know if this happened when you got hired here.
Uh-huh.
I know when I got hired here, and after my 1 year, we used to get sworn in.
Yes.
What the hell happened with that?
I was one of the last who got sworn in here, or sworn at.
We need
or
to
both.
bring that back.
Yes. Oh, well,
That was a big tradition when I first started here.
Yeah.
Your first year, you were brought up here,
Mhm.
you were sworn in.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's like, why did this stop?
No, well, and it's
It's
funny because, well, it's funny because when it stopped, I was one of the last who actually was indoctrinated into the fire department via the association.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you know how it used to be that in a lot of organizations are like this, unfortunately, hey, come hang out with our association. If the association members like you enough, you can then become a part of the fire department, whether by volunteerism or by actual application, offered an application. Right. And on face value, it sounds like, oh, well, that's a good way to, quote unquote, interview. The problem that comes is that when people are trying to either make a living, make a career of this, or they are told, hey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but you never quite see that end of the tunnel, keeps on getting deferred. Then, and even after you get, was it sworn in by the association, you then have to apply to the fire department, and you basically start the whole process all over again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not gonna get anyone to stick around.
No.
So yeah, I could speak to that because I was one of the last ones here, and it has gone away because again, the association members are more concerned right now with protecting their old ways of doing things rather than creating a future.
And we've talked about that in previous episodes too. You know, the older members not wanting to change for the younger members.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's not by no means just isolated here. No. I mean, this is
across the country.
Yes. It's like there's a department that I applied for, and I have gone on record. I have not been shy about saying it was one of the worst interviews I've ever had. It was just very unprofessional. Like when the chief of that has to come out, follow you out, and say, hey, by the way, no hard feelings. We're just feeling out to make sure that you. It's like. When the fire chief has to say that, it's like you might want to adjust the fire and say, maybe we're going too far with this. Maybe we're doing too much.
I've had an interview like that it made me feel very uncomfortable. Some of the questions they were asking, and I'm like, this is highly inappropriate and highly unprofessional.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even necessarily inappropriate as in shut up, you. It's not even inappropriate as in like. I guess inappropriate questions. It's just questions that are asked that are meant to incite you to respond with a certain emotion. Like
been through an interview like that before too.
Yeah, it's like I mean, and that's the experience I had was that it was supposed to get you upset and supposed to get you flustered, so that you said something stupid.
Yep.
Versus getting to know who you were and like what you actually want to bring to the counter or table, but.
Yeah, I recently went through an interview like that last year, a year and a half ago. Yeah, it was not enjoyable.
No. Well, and then you wonder is like as that organization, struggles, and those types of organizations struggle, and then there's an opinion split between members of like things. Okay, it's those same organizations who say, "Oh, you can't moonlight anywhere else."
Right.
It's like, and you wonder why you lose some of the camaraderie, and they go elsewhere and they chase other people out of those organizations. You have to ask yourself, like, is our tradition here really worth protecting for this?
Sometimes the answer is no.
Yeah,
it's not.
One of the things, like on the military side, there's a lot of tradition there too. Some of it we're trying to kill, and it's not necessary to kill. Some of it we hold on, or I hear old guys comment on this, is that, oh, well, back in my day, basic training was ... Or back in my day, drill sergeants, drill instructors, they could hit you, or they could do whatever they wanted. Or back in my day, it's like, Yeah, and oh yeah, back in your day, you had a draft that you had people running away to Canada to avoid serving. Oh yeah, back in your day, you also have all kinds of investigations that are now coming to surface over stuff that was done then. Oh yeah, back in your day, oh yeah, how many people actually wanted to stay in the service? How many people actually wanted to like actually willingly serve?
Right.
Oh yeah, not as many, and seeing the same thing now. We're holding on to certain traditions now that is hurting us because we're so steeped in doing things a certain way. We're not willing to change. We're not willing to adapt.
Right. And we've talked about that before.
Mhm.
You gotta, sometimes you have to change. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
If not, it's gonna hurt you in the long run, big time. And how you gonna keep them people here? Just like when we talked about recruiting and retention. What are you doing to keep them?
Yeah.
They got to think about that. Why are they leaving, or why did they leave? Well, we don't know. Well, why didn't you ask?
Mhm. I remember one of the traditions that was shared with me early on when I was in the fire academy was that the Probie is always going to be messed with.
Yes.
The Probie always gets jokes played on them, and both military side and fire side, I came in to my respective departments and units as I got hired or enlisted with the expectation that I wasn't going to be showing things. I was on high alert. Like I was suspicious of everyone. I was like everyone was. I was just waiting for everyone to try to pick on me. I'm waiting for everyone, and I don't want to look like an idiot. So I'm trying to do things to
Right.
not look like an idiot. In fact, we're seeing that right now with one of our members that's trying to do everything they can not to look like an idiot. And in fact, they're looking very incompetent.
Yes.
Plus, because the person who has been mentoring them and kind of telling them about the fire service has been telling them, "Oh yeah, guys will try to mess with you, or guys will try to steer you the wrong way, and you gotta know your stuff." It's like that doesn't help somebody new.
No.
And trying to keep up that tradition of hazing and that tradition of picking on new guys, that doesn't help them assimilate into the fire service. If anything, it pushes them away,
Oh,
and
absolutely. It pushes them away.
they're afraid to ask questions.
Yeah. Especially when you get told, oh, they're going to try to scare you. They're going to really mess with you. Like, how are they going to mess with me? Like, now I'm going to be like making sure I'm on a high alert, like you said, looking out, like what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm getting told, oh, they're going to mess with you.
I remember, and this is not a fire service story. This is high school. When I was in band, the seniors of every year, it was called was it indoctrination or induction night. It was something like that.
Yeah.
At the end of band camp, the idea was that the seniors would put together like a special, basically as a ball, is what it was, for all the freshmen. You're squirrely little freshmen, terrified of high school and whatnot. What's going to happen? And so it's the end of band camp. Everyone's sunburnt and whatnot. But the entire week leading up to this night, all the seniors and juniors and sophomores are all picking on all the freshmen. Oh, hey, are you ready? Oh man, I heard they do weird things. Oh, I heard. Oh man, last year what was it? Was it spaghetti sauce and green beans? And it's like, did you bring your duct tape? Like duct tape? What duct tape? Well, you didn't. You weren't told about bringing your duct. Oh, make sure you bring duct tape. You don't want your sleeves to be open or anything. Like they had you. It was the weirdest thing. I remember we're sitting like on the school grounds at the playground, and the seniors of our section had brought us sodas like these like nice sodas and whatnot, and one of them baked cookies and whatnot. They were dressed up to nines, suits, ball gowns, and everything. And here we are, these little freshmen, like just timid and scared. And it's like I remember pulling because again, we had duct tape like all of our collars up. And we were like anywhere, and like some people wore trash bags over themselves and under the clothes. Like, oh no, like kids were scared. Like they were scared. And then it turns out it's like, oh no, yeah, no, this is just kind of us, messing with you and whatnot. That there's nothing to it. And I remember feeling simultaneously ashamed that I had so much and didn't enjoy at all what was actually supposed to be a lot of fun because it was actually supposed to be something really special.
Yeah.
And there was no enjoyment to it whatsoever. It was a like I begrudgingly took the soda that I was offered and begrudgingly like sat down and calmed down because it's like you've been working us up into a lather for the last week for this, and I can see now you're just trying to make us feel welcome.
Yeah.
But what you've been doing for the last week made me feel like such an outsider and that I don't belong.
Mm-hmm.
And it framed the rest of my freshman year in band that year. It framed everything. It framed a lot of how I viewed that.
Man, mine's way worse. My freshman year of high school for the soccer team, man. They took us out on a boat. Took us to an island, and like they like, hey, like we like cook out there, and like we all brought food and stuff. They all the seniors took us out there, like the whole team left us on this island.
No,
left us for 12 hours. That was the tradition, and I'm like,
what was the point?
Yeah, I'm like, so you leave us out here for 12 hours. Why? They're like, well, that's what we've always done. I'm like, this was stupid. What if somebody gets stung by a bee and they're allergic? You know, now we're stuck out here.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us didn't have cell phones back then. It's like, okay. So like after that year, we started doing things different.
Yeah, well, I would hope so.
So instead, we would duct tape them to the goal and egg them.
And that's better.
Better than them being left on an island in the middle of somewhere.
Still, I mean, that's...
And by the time my senior year hit, we would take the freshmen, a bunch of us would get in the cars and go out and TP houses. And we did our coach's house. His son came out with a paintball gun. And a couple of the guys had pickup trucks, so all the freshmen were in the pickup trucks got pelted. Was not expecting that one. But, you know, it's just TP. It doesn't harm anything. It's harmless. So, you know, we did our coach's house and we did most of the girls' soccer team's houses. Yeah. And that's it. And that and even after I graduated, that continued on. Yeah. So we went from something that used to be a continuous tradition, changed it, and then changed it again. And I don't.
Well, it also went from something that was harmful and something that just very isolating and got worse. But then also became something like, okay, hey, this is something we're all going to remember for years to come as something fun.
You know, look at Happy Gilmore when he told him to meet him on I think it was the 9th. And then sprinklers came on and he told him to dress up in his nicest suit. Yeah. And Schumer Gavin doesn't show up and sprinklers just...
I remember,
You know, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but you remember though, in that movie, what was his response? He went to the bar and was ready to shank him.
With the Budweiser bottle.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
No, it's like, you know, and I'm all for good fun. But two, if this is the way I've seen things like this, as I grow mature, I'm all for a good joke until it makes someone look completely incompetent and would open them up to like everyone else seeing that incompetence.
Right.
Like, and this is where like when I think the tradition starts to really hurt us is whenever we do things that's supposed to make people look incompetent to other people. And that's where I think it starts to deviate.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to pick on people. Okay. Yeah. You know, it's one thing to, you know, hey, I like one of my captains at my full-time department. I took his sleep room. I didn't know it was his sleep room. I took his sleep room though. So he told me though, hey, I left a girlfriend for you in your bed. He had taken a mop head. He made a girlfriend and with towels and a mop head and whatnot, put it in the bed. So I come in, I still got pictures of it. And it's like, oh shit, I got a girlfriend in the bed.
That's awesome.
It was, it was like one of those things. Like, no, he didn't tell anyone else what he did. He didn't like, oh hey, look, he's gonna. It's like, no, which is totally different than taking somebody and saying, hey, you need to go down to the police station, or you need to go down to the battalion's office, and you need to try and think of something like,
You get this 1044 sign.
yeah, or you need to find the hose stretcher, and then the battalion sends you, oh well, hey, you gotta go down to the chief's office. Chief sends you over to maintenance, and by then everyone's watching you and laughing at you because, and then you like, if you realize like, oh, there's no such thing as a hose stretcher. I'm the hose stretcher. Yep. But then you look at everyone's like, oh great, everyone thinks I'm an idiot because I fell for that. And it's like, then it's like, how do you necessarily trust when they tell you, hey, I need you to go find this tool? And this has happened before. Like, yeah. Like one morning we had a guy who came into the station here. Mind you, Dingle Doofus let him in, but he let him in. He had walked in February through several fields from the other side of Johnson Road here in the middle of the night, and this guy had been talking with me all night the previous night. He comes in and says, hey, there's a guy in the bay. And I just looked at him like, yeah, sure. And I went back to what I was doing.
Right.
And like, he actually had to plead and like actually like appeal to my partner who was sitting there. Like, no, seriously, there's somebody out here. You should probably also call the police department. You should call Doyle. Call Doyle.
Oh, Doyle rules.
The Doyles. But no, he's like, you should probably call the police department because there's a guy out in the bay. And it's like, I look back and I was like, I'm all for good fun and whatnot, but when you make it get to the point where people don't trust you or people don't believe you because you've been messing with them for so long, that's a problem.
It is. And people's messed with me before, and I'm like, yeah, okay, nice try. Like, guy I work with in my full-time job, he's one of those people. He's one of those jokesters. He called me one day and said, like, we hit something in the road and we're leaking coolant like crazy. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, this, whatever, funny. And he called us one day. It's like, oh, hey, I fell through this lady's porch, broke my leg. I'm like, no, you didn't. But when he called, said, hey, they did hit something in the road. And then when he FaceTimed me, I'm like, okay, now he's not really screwing around. Yeah. Like, this is for real now. Yeah. But it took me a while because I didn't believe him because of what he always does. I'm like, he's just pissing with me. Yeah. Yeah, no, not this time.
Well, and then I think of that, like, especially when somebody's doing, and like, we're starting to see this now, especially with the younger group who's in their early 20s, coming out of the fire academy to come into the job. They don't have good relationships with adults to begin with, let alone adults they don't know very well. And then people start messing with them and start like sending them on BS assignments and things. Yeah, then you wonder, like, whenever they get a little snooty or they get a little like, oh, I'm not doing that. It's like, especially when they do it to the wrong person. It's like, when I was in the 192nd, like, when you're new to military units, exact same as fire service, you get razzed and hazed quite a bit. You're the gopher. You're the one who, you're the fall guy for a lot of stuff. And I remember that I had our first annual training we went on. I was being fucked with so much and just completely to the point where I actually told one of our platoon sergeants to fuck off because I didn't know that he was being serious. He came to approach me about something, ask me about something, and I told him to go ahead and just fuck off because I thought he was joking with me. I thought he was just there to mess with me. No, it turns out that actually I was already in trouble, and it was the trouble just deepened from there. But because everybody had been fucking with me, and I was so high strung at that point and just so done, like that it led to something like where it's like, oh hey, yeah, no, I'm not messing around. This actually needs to happen, and you need to do it. And It was it was
Yeah.
bad.
And, you know, that's like telling some new people, I mean, the blinker fluid.
Yeah.
Some of them might catch on to it.
Mhm.
I've heard, find me the fallopian tubes in the back. I'm like, you fucking kidding me
Mhm.
right now? And it's funny, but they're brand new. Come on, give them a break.
We're about to get fart sprayed again. I don't know why, but we're about to get fart sprayed again. Speaking of practical jokes.
Yeah. Speaking of.
Okay.
Karma's gonna suck.
That's okay.
Hell yeah, brother. I do that too good.
No, I mean it's whenever it starts hurting the team. It's like when it starts hurting people's ability to trust. That's when it needs to stop. That's when it needs to end.
Because I mean, you get fucked around long enough, it makes you feel like you don't fit in. Like you said, they don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, it's just what they do.
Yeah.
You know, like I tell a lot of people, it's like if we don't mess around with you, but we keep it at a good level.
Yeah.
I mean, if we joke with you, we like you.
Yeah.
If we don't, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I tell a lot of new people in my full-time job. And they're like, oh, okay. There's a couple people that are just don't want to be around any of us.
Yeah.
So they go and hide. I'm like, no wonder why we kind of make fun of you. We don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
You don't come around.
Yeah. Well, it's as you said, it's within a healthy limit that, like, okay, we mess with you a little bit just to kind of get you to just kind of get you to break a little bit. He's filming us now. You know, but at some point you come back and say, okay, hey, we're gonna teach you, don't worry. But this is distracting now. Now he's just being distracting. So no, that's almost even more distracting. We're literally changing hats. We're literally gonna change directions on the topic.
Here, I'm gonna change my shirt too.
Might have to put another bleep in here. The whole podcast is just gonna burst into flames.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit, man.
So on the other side though, we can talk ad nauseam about times when tradition causes pain, agony, suffering, and all that kind of stuff. The other side of the coin is when tradition dies, that should be kept alive.
Yeah.
You know, like putting flags or putting the Maltese cross at grave sites of past members.
Yeah.
You started doing for the first time with our association meetings. It's for the last couple of months, but you started doing the moment of silence. For a while there, we weren't doing that. We went straight in our meetings. No pledge of allegiance, no moment of silence. We just went straight into it. Yeah, it went. I remember with the first time we did, I'm like, oh, we haven't done this in a while. Why?
That's all I know.
Well, yes.
That's how it should be.
Yes, but for a while we hadn't been doing that. It was just straight into meetings.
And to me, that's a tradition to me, and that's showing respect to our past members as well. You know, and our past members and to our country. I'm not going to let that die out.
No, and it shouldn't. But those are some of the traditions that we need to not only double down on, but we need to like bring younger members. It's like, hey, come here, we're gonna do something.
Yeah.
Like something I love doing is I love when I'm at CST and we're teaching cadets. Is when we get out on the parade field, and usually when we're out there for their graduation, it's about 5:30 in the morning. Sun's just coming up. Oh yes, it's zero dark stupid still, but the sun's just coming up over horizon. So usually there's some nice fog over that part of Fort Knox and whatnot. We're right outside the garrison headquarters.
Okay,
it's like, hey, y'all are gonna get to see something most people don't actually get to see. You're gonna get to see the raising of the flag and the setting off of the cannon whenever they play revelry. And that's something that most of them won't get a chance to really be a part of and won't matter to them because they're never told, like, hey, this is part of our history, not just because we do it every morning at 6 a.m. or 6:30, depending on where you're at, or not be, but like, what's the history? Like, most people don't know the history of taps, except that it's used at military funerals. Those people don't know that taps actually was used in funerals starting in the Civil War because it used to be just a 21 gun salute with cannons, but you did that and you would accidentally start the battle all over again because the enemy just hears
Boom.
gunfire, boom. Yeah, they don't know whether they're being attacked or not, and so the war starts up. So how do you rectify that? You play something else. Well, it happens that most posts at around 2200 hours, they play taps, which is actually played specifically to alert everyone on post. This is quiet time. In historical times, all lights would be turned out. All unnecessary personnel would be in their barracks or be in their place of residence. And the entire post essentially shut down. Like nothing happened. You weren't to be out walking. You weren't to be out driving. You were to be in your barracks or in your house on post, quiet. And lights were to be turned off.
Learned something new today.
What's that?
I learned something new.
Yeah. That's the history of taps. That's why taps was originally conceived. And in Civil War, when they needed a way to not actually restart a battle to bury their dead, it was a great piece because it's very somber. It is for that kind of atmosphere. So but these are traditions that we don't share. We just share taps gets played at funerals. If you stay up late enough on post, you'll hear it at 2200, as I said. And the history is also too. You're supposed to actually go to the position of attention when it plays. Most people don't know that either. Most people, especially most civilians, I even see military members who don't know this, even though there's signs all over posts. When they play revelry into the colors and retreat, if you're driving, you are supposed to, if at all possible. Now, mind you, on the main drag of posts of Bragg or more, whatever you want to call it now, Fort Liberty, Knox, it might not be possible. But if you're in the side streets and 17 rolls around, the flag's going at that time, you are supposed to stop, get out of your vehicle, and render customs and courtesies, whether position of attention if you're in civilians, salute if you're in uniform, until it's done. But we don't ever share that kind of tradition or that kind of thing. I've seen too many people who don't do that. And they will like pull in, and like there's a joke on post of like 1700, everyone runs inside the PX or inside the nearest building because they don't want to stand there. It's like, you not realize that's like part of like your history,
right?
Like that was the end of day once upon a time. Like that was like when you were done with your drills. That was, hey, we get to go home back to our families,
right? Like,
but we don't share that tradition. Those are traditions I feel like we lose and don't get shit that we don't pass on.
Yeah, like I don't know if you can call it tradition. Taking your hat off for the national anthem.
Yes,
I've seen so many people that don't take their hat off. Like, do you understand why we take our hats off? Like, take your hats off. I've seen people argue with other people about taking hats off because, like, you're disrespecting. Just take it off for what, a minute and a half?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Well, or playing the national anthem before sports events, or like you do like a special like honor ceremony or whatever for the fire department. How many of them don't play the national anthem? And it's or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not a tradition because you're losing the somberness and the importance of what you stand for, what you go to protect.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why so many people they come to work just for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what it means. They don't care what it means.
Yeah, they don't. They and like the younger generation, they're kind of fucked. They don't understand a lot of that. They don't understand the work ethic.
Yeah.
They just want to come, make their money, and go.
Yeah.
And that's like that's great and all, but in certain jobs, like it's nothing but a big family.
Yeah.
They don't realize that. Like here, like majority of us are all very close in one big family.
Yeah.
And some of them don't understand stuff like that.
Well, hell, Mom's in there cooking dinner for us right now.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job of it too.
Thanks, Mom.
He's ignoring us. No, actually, I was just thinking though, is that our bell tower out there? Like, why don't we have like people reach their 10 years? Like, there's been 3 or 4 people in the last year who have reached their 10 years, and their names on Belltown. And it's like, why didn't we know?
Yeah.
Why wasn't that something that was, like, made a special thing? Like, we lost our tradition with our association of having a Christmas dinner or end of year party or anything
Oh,
like that.
the
We don't do awards or
the
anything.
award banquet.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used to do that. I mean, I've only been to 2 here ever. Invited to
Mhm.
one, didn't go to it. Second one I actually went to, and it was just kinda sad because no one really came.
Yeah. Like, I get it. People have other jobs and they have families. But, that's a fun thing.
Yeah.
It was fun to see what we did throughout the year, the funny pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a good time. I do miss it.
Yeah. Well, hell, this year is the first time that I think in a long time we've actually started taking pictures of our trainings and pictures of
Yeah.
what we're doing that we can actually display. So next year at Pancake Breakfast, we actually have something to show that we do instead of
Yeah.
just, hey, these are our members. Don't they look pretty in their department photos that look kind of goofy?
We all are a little goofy.
Right?
Some more than others.
Some more than others. No,
But you're not wrong.
one thing I was thinking is that, especially, I have one on top of my head, but really anyone new who comes here, it's all like a 10-second walk out there. But the walk out to the bell tower,
Mm-hmm.
like, these is everyone who's come before you, who has laid everything before you. All those empty spaces are for those who have come after.
Yep.
And this is the heritage that you have. So everything you have up to this point is because of these people, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all because of these people. You can be here to get your name up there and only care about getting your name up there, or you can get your name up there with pride because you tried to leave something there.
Yep.
But again, if we don't share that with people, all they
No.
know is just there's just this bell out there that for some reason we keep lit at night.
Yep. Like you said, they don't. A lot of them don't ask about it either.
No.
They just see it and just,
Mhm.
oh, okay, it's a bell tower.
We used to, whenever we had people come here for community service, we used to have them clean that really well.
I remember the last time someone called it here about community service. They asked what they'd be doing. Said wash and watch the trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's too much work.
Yeah. Well, so that not to go down this rabbit hole, but I mean that's cool. I mean that's the stuff we should be doing ourselves.
Yes.
Honestly, and yeah, taking care of the bell tower is too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of a landmark. It's more of a special case thing than something we should be doing in daily operations to take. Which I get when somebody says I don't want to do that. Like, I can't necessarily blame you. It's kind of like saying, hey, you need help painting or cleaning your house. Oh yeah, cool. Can you come vacuum my carpets for me? It's like, I thought you meant you need like help like cleaning out your mom's house or something.
Yeah.
But, you just want me to come help you do your
chores.
The chores that you should have done in the first place? No, that's no.
Kind of like when you said, "Hey, want to help me come clean my basement out?"
It almost crushed your foot.
Yes, drop the drill press. I'm still shocked that my toe did not break.
I am too. No, but it's like we don't share these things, and then we wonder why whenever people leave disheartened, bad taste in their mouth, like we don't care, and then we're looking down the bridge of rhinos. They just didn't fit in. It's like, well, yeah, they never were allowed to fit in. They were never,
You didn't let them try to get fit in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I can't tell you how many things I have not been a part of, especially here, because like, oh, the old guys just do that, or the old guys just kind of take over,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's fine, cool. They're part of this too, but then one day, like a pancake breakfast, you wake up and they come in. It's like, well, no one comes and helps out anymore. It's just us core like 6 or 8. It's like, and why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that no one cares to come help out? And I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm just busy with work. And I'm sure, yeah, you got jobs, family, and all that, and then that's part of it. But it's like, you make time for other things. You make time for other things that are in the similar vein.
Yeah.
Why not this?
Yeah.
Why is this too much? And then you take a look out and it's like, no one was brought in to feel like they were actually part of it.
Yeah. I mean, pancake breakfast is a huge undertaking.
Mhm.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It takes as many people as we can get.
Mm-hmm.
But you made a good point. You made time for this, and this. Why can't you make time for this? You got a family function or you're at work. That's different.
Yeah.
But if you're just at home doing nothing, like, just come help even for a couple hours.
Yeah.
That help is more than enough.
Yeah. Well, it's like our chief this year, she held like anyone who was left, like, oh hey, yeah, you were here from the beginning to the end, or you're like, hey, we have a special little drawing
Yeah.
for everyone who came and helped. Did you were eligible for something, and it was pretty cool stuff, like leather suspenders and a brand new helmet. That thing is high.
I think it's nice. I want one.
Oh, it's very.
I think she's gonna start switching to those.
I was gonna say when the fire chief looks at that, it's like, those are that much. I think we could swing that. Like, but those are things like that you miss out.
Yeah.
Like the memories of doing these things. You know, it's like I remember the one time we did the reverse raffle when I was here. And to be fair, part of that tradition needed to die, because unfortunately it did cater to we'll say the more affluent families we have who live in the area, because it was relatively expensive to come to. For honestly a pretty cheap dinner, let's be honest. It was not.
It would take us to what, $65?
It's $65, $70 and per person. And yeah, it got you your raffle number and it got you in, but I mean the steak was it was decent, but it wasn't $75 worth of steak, and wasn't, and then, but it's like, I remember my first year, it's like, I could understand you don't want us serving, the alcoholic beverages or anything like that. But then all you're doing is like, oh, hey, you can be in cleaning detail because we don't trust you to do anything else. You can be in cleaning detail. It's like, okay, you're still part of it, but you don't really feel like you're actually a part of it, because you see everyone behind the counter, they kind of lean back or lean up against the counter when, to take a deep breath. And, but as soon as you sit down, it's like, hey, there's trash cans are full.
Yeah.
Why don't you go do, like, I felt this year at the pancake breakfast, trying to keep up with trash. And the trustee is like going, why always have to keep on taking out the trash? You guys are always sitting down. It's like, we've been running all over the place and doing that. Thank you for helping, but you're not really making anyone feel like they're actually a part of it. You're berating them for coming and, stepping up and volunteering to do your job.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like keeping up with pancake batter. Sometimes it was rough.
It was. It was. It's a very thankless job, honestly, once all said and done.
Thank goodness I got it down to a science, though.
Yeah, but that's one of those things that, like, I would love to see some of our older younger members get be a part of that too, because at some point you're not going to be the one doing that one day.
Exactly.
One day, Eisenschnauser's not going to be the one flipping the
pancakes. Yeah.
He's not going to be here. Who's going to do it when he's gone?
Yep.
And we just say, oh, well, somebody will. Who have you welcomed into that core to say, hey, you can be a part of this?
Yeah, I agree.
Some of the positive traditions, and I feel like we lost. We used to have barbecues a lot here, and usually end up as vendors, but we used to have barbecues, at people's houses and whatnot, and half the department would show out for that stuff. And also had department from other departments, so you got to rub shoulders with everyone else you're going to be seeing in the next 15 years.
Yeah.
We don't do that so much anymore.
No.
We used to have picnics that, we don't do that anymore. Family members coming to actually have like a holiday or whatever. That's gone by the wayside a lot.
Yeah.
And what chaps me about it is that when that happens, and then the response is, well, we used to do that. Well, we have a member who was about to move. I think I told the story once. I know I've told a story anecdotally outside of the podcast, but we had a member who was getting ready to move into their first house. And so they're talking about how they're going to go rent a truck and, it's like, go do this in the weekend. And someone comes up and is like, oh, well, once upon a time, if you had just mentioned that you were moving to the association, everybody would come and help you do that. And it's like, yeah, these kids just don't do that anymore. And I just wanted to scream at them. And I wonder why that is.
Yep.
I wonder why.
When I was still young here, when I lived in my first apartment here in town, and I was moving down the road, a lot of them did come help. We were moved out in one day.
Yeah.
I was extremely thankful for that. But we also back then we could count on a lot of us for a lot of things because they know we'd be there. Like bam.
Yeah.
Today, we can only do that for a few people.
Well, even less than 10 years ago now, when Schnauzer and I had an apartment, we were in an apartment together. No one came to help us move stuff.
Yeah.
And he was more established here than I was.
Yeah. I remember helping him move it above the funeral home.
Yeah. How many of you guys have lived above the funeral home?
Not me. Not me. I'm one of the few that did not.
But no, like, but seriously, like when we moved, like he and I moved like 95% of the stuff. And over like 3-4 weeks, like no one at the fire department, like even though they knew that we were doing this, 2 young college kids like, hey, we're just trying to make sure that we can live somewhere close. And
yeah.
Like, oh well, they had plenty of jokes to make that we were gonna be roommates, but they didn't never once to say, hey, do you guys need any help? Hey, neither of you have a pickup truck. At that point he has an Impala, and I think
oh my god, yes.
I think I had my pickup truck. Yeah, I had my pickup truck then, but it wasn't a big pickup truck. It was a small pickup truck. But no one said, hey, does anyone need a trailer? Hey, do you guys need any help moving all this stuff? Or no, it was just, oh hey, yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, you guys gotta have the dog too. Well, who's gonna be Big Spoon? Who's gonna be Little Spoon? It's like that wasn't helpful. And I did learn though not to ask anyone here for help because you just wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of those traditions I wish we could bring back. And I guess it's up to us then to really start bringing back.
Yeah, agree, 100%.
Maybe that's the conclusion here. Is that so? There's some things to be brought up that, and we've talked about with training stuff. We talked about with with things like our Facebook page and whatnot. But we just need to step up and do it.
Yeah. And we're gonna start doing this. We're gonna bring this back, and we're gonna continue to do this from here on out.
Yes. I think just one last negative thing on this. I hate it whenever our generation does do that, and someone older says, well, we used to do that, but no one does anymore. So just know no one's gonna care if you do it, or no one's gonna help you do it anymore. It's like, I hate that response.
Yeah.
Like, so I should stop doing it because no one's going to help me do it. Like we shouldn't try to do it because you've anecdotally determined that no one's going to assist me.
Right.
So that means it should just end.
No.
What sense does that make?
It doesn't. Like I say, hey, you got to risk it for the biscuit. I use that all the time. And a lot of times it makes no sense, but a lot of times it does.
A lot of times you don't make sense either.
80% of the time.
60% of the time, he's right all the time.
Except for when I'm playing euchre.
Oh man, we're not even going to talk about that. But no, you're right. You do have to take that risk and say, yeah, this might not turn out right, but at least I'm going to try to do it instead of just be a part of the sitting back on my hands and grumbling about it.
Wayne Gretzky said it the best. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yes. Like it's...
And I took that to heart when I got older and I learned about that. And I'm like, if I don't take a chance, I'll never know. Yeah. So I take the chance of if I fail, I learn from the mistakes and I improve and I try again. Yeah. Until I get it. Well,
and that's the thing too, is that how many of our traditions did fail because we took a chance to go do something. Like we used to do a best fire truck trophy, and it was never given to us. Obviously, we were the ones given the trophy, but best fire truck trophy or tanker or whatever. And a couple years, the person who went to get them done, they spelled the name of the festival wrong, and there's some pretty bizarre spellings of the names out there. And so instead of saying, well, hey, let's double check and let's find somewhere where we can go and get this done right, make it look nice. Well, maybe we just shouldn't do that anymore. Well, maybe we just shouldn't worry about that anymore. It's becoming more of a hassle to to get these trophies and make them than it is to actually,
Right.
do it. It's like, what sense does that make? So we're gonna forego department camaraderie. We're gonna forego the tradition of everyone polishing up their truck and showing up. Like that was time for a department to show off their newest rig and show off their newest thing that they just got.
100% it was.
Yeah. Like, and I get like playing the water barrel during our festival, and I get one of our members blew out their knee, and it happens. Some people get hurt sometimes, and it happens.
It does.
But does that mean that you just stop everything because one time this happened? Does that mean that you forego all the tradition and all the camaraderie of that because one bad thing happened? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't. Like you said, one incident, and now we got to stop. Like, what about the younger guys that are going to start coming on? The new guys, they talk about all this tradition. They say, well, why don't we do it now? Oh, someone got hurt their knee, blew their knee out.
Yep.
So now I don't get to be part of that.
Yeah. Well, and then those same people look down the bridge of their nose like, oh, you young kids don't understand. Oh, you young kids didn't have it the way we did. Whose fault is that? Who made that decision? I didn't make that decision. I wasn't even here to make that decision.
Right.
I feel like it comes down to you have to look at like what is the gain and what is the benefit versus what do you lose if you don't have it. Which that could be kind of an interesting argument too, because let's be honest, what really does get lost financially or anything with any of these things if you don't do them? We're probably really very little except for camaraderie.
Yeah. And in my opinion, the camaraderie is more than anything.
Yes, I agree. But when you're looking at that seems like such a small thing, but it's not.
It's not.
It's huge.
And it's morale too.
Yes.
That's a big thing, morale. My full-time job, you can tell the morale is in the negatives.
Yeah.
What are we going to do to fix that? Nothing.
Yeah.
Why not? People were pissed. They're unhappy. We got to fix this.
Yeah.
Well, how do you want to fix this? I've given you options.
Yeah.
Some of them got shot down, which I can understand. But you don't even try to fix it. You just let it go. You let it fester.
No, it's interesting because you bring up the things. It's like, okay, well, let's do a whole fun day at Stair Points. Okay, maybe that's outside of the possibility for a large company or large department. But if you bring up and say, well, hey, it's the 4th of July. Why don't you let your stations get together and go have a barbecue for an hour and a half or so?
Yeah.
They're all in districts still. I mean, yeah, they might take a little long to get back to their individual districts to respond, but
still in service.
So it's funny because we just watched this. We watched this the other night at work. Burn, the Detroit fire documentary. Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
So at the end, was it Parnell's retirement party? And so he's on shift, and he's on shift, and guys are coming from all over the city. They roasted pig. They got the spit going. They got all kinds of stuff. They got family coming in. Neighbors, everything. And guys, you see as they're filming this, like, oh hey, the ladder truck. Hey, it's gotta go on accident. It's gotta go on fire. Hey, the med unit. Hey, they get called out. Hey, thanks for inviting us. Hey, we gotta go. That's how it works. But how it is. But that doesn't mean that you just don't do that.
Right.
Because then guys start to feel isolated by themselves on islands.
Yep.
You have to let them get together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like cooking meals. Like even though we kind of razz him in there for cooking, but that's actually something in my station that we've tried to get to now is breakfast. We'll go across the street and get breakfast.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
And then lunch you're usually on your own, but that's but dinner time, especially if we have a med student riding, if we have a third riding with us, or we got one of our orientees riding with us, dinner is almost a must. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant.
Yeah.
But somebody grill up some chickens. Somebody go across the street and even if you get a couple TV meals, it's like sit down and eat together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sweetheart.
but it does so much for
It
camaraderie.
does.
But I can't tell you how many chiefs I've heard, how many trustees, how many council members I've heard. Well, why are those guys? Why do those guys all go to that station on Sunday afternoon? Or I noticed the fire truck, they go out of service at like 5 o'clock, and they go down to the other station, or they go out. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why are they doing that? That truck needs to stay. And it's like, and I get it, there comes a risk of taking vehicles out. You take a fire truck out, a service and structured fire drops, or an accident could happen, or med call, and now you're in a
Right.
fire truck instead of med units. I get there's a risk, but then also too, it's like, okay, what's the risk versus what's the reward?
Mm-hmm.
What are you losing? Yeah, for that one or two times in a year, maybe you're out of district and you drop the worst call that you possibly can at the furthest corner of your own district, which would have taken you forever to get to anyways. You're gonna forgo all the camaraderie that just to sit there and relax and not feel like you have to be wound tight the entire time.
Yeah, and like camaraderie and morale is huge.
Yes.
You don't have that. You're gonna have unhappy employees, people that don't care, don't want to do it. You do all that. It keeps everybody happy. It keeps the morale up.
I remember two things I don't know if they were necessarily tradition, but just fun things the employees did. One was at my other apartment, one of our guys at Christmas time, he wore a Santa hat. Like everywhere that he could appreciably wear it without like being detracting. So it was only for like, 24th, 25th, 26th.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he wasn't wearing it like December 1st or like, into late January. No, it was like that week of Christmas time, if he was on shift and those the 23rd to 26th, somewhere in there, he'd wear a Santa hat because it's, it's a little festive. And I don't think anyone really said anything to him, but I know people did ask like, oh, why is he wearing that? It's like, does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, it detracts from the professional appearance. Like, does it? Okay, yes, maybe, but at the exact same time too, you need to remember that, this this time of year, we're trying to celebrate a little bit here. Guys celebrate. The other one was Halloween. The private ambulance company I worked for, they let us, especially for the old folks' homes, let us wear costumes. As long as it wasn't, so much you couldn't do your job. That was the one thing. But they let us wear costumes on Halloween. It was only that day.
Right.
But it was like something fun. Like, the old folks always loved it and always loved seeing like things. Like the nurses always has some form of like cat ears or something.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's the one day where it's like, okay, yeah, I know we have a very serious job, but you also have to be able to
have
laugh.
fun with it too.
And, have fun with it. So, I mean, there's different ways that we can introduce new traditions or let things kind of take over.
Right.
Speaking of traditions, I think we have a tradition of food that we need to go embark in. So. So, we'll come back and revisit this. Honestly, once we really get ourselves established, I would love to come back and revisit all of these topics, especially the ones where our sound is not great.
Yeah.
I'd love to come back and revisit them and like really actually deep dive into them again.
Agreed.
So, well, on that note, I've been Tim.
Jeremiah.
And this has been Conflict of Leadership Coffee Table Edition. We'll be back next week. Where's my computer? Right in front of me.
You mean my spoon? I'm still closer to those. And the winner is
one of these days we're gonna have to stop using a random wheel. We'll actually like choose focus topics. I don't know what he's doing either. Wives, husbands, boyfriends, and girlfriends.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That could be a very booby trapped episode. But no, it's still equally important
Yes.
because you have a support system somewhere.
Yep.
So that's next week's conversation. So tune in next week. I feel like I have to do something more just because he's watching us now. So but on that note, once again, I've been Tim.
I'm Jeremiah.
And we'll be back next week to talk about our wives, our husbands, boyfriends, and girlfriends. All of which we all have, of course.
Especially Baglia.